Greetings and welcome to a Friday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is June 20th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing phenomenal. I gotta say, it's a celebratory day in this household. It is, I don't know if you guys know this, it's Sammy Sosa Day at Wrigley Field today.
Oh, really? What are they doing? Handing out the cream and the clear for everyone walking through the gates? What are they doing? What's Sammy Sosa Day entail?
This is the first time he's been back to the ballpark in 21 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. He's got to be unrecognizable. I haven't seen Sammy Sosa in several years, but he's just got to be unrecognizable.
They just put up a picture of him and PCA on Twitter, and he is unrecognizable if you haven't seen him in 20 years. Absolutely.
Him and PCA, two all-time great outfielders for the Cubs.
Sammy did contribute one of the great sort of celebrations. Like anytime I did anything good in youth sports, I would do like the kiss with the two fingers and the chest and the look at like anytime like coming to the, like kind of as a joke. But yeah, when you're playing like wiffle ball in the backyard or home run derby in the backyard, Sammy, that's for me one of his great contributions. The kiss with the chest and the point to the sky. So hopefully he does a little bit of that. I'm happy for you, Cubs fans. We need a Sammy Sosa day. Oh, PJ is
Cubs fans are fired up at PJ. I'm getting a lot of messages about PJ's PCA takes.
What are they worked up about?
I'm just cautioning everybody that you look under the hood, the underlying metrics are alarmingly bad. But I'm happy for PCA. I'm happy that Major League Baseball has another marketable superstar in a major market. Very happy. I'm just saying, might not end well. That's all. Just try to get out in front of it.
I having watched Obi Toppin play basketball in the NBA Finals with PJ, I've developed a theory. He's very anti-Obi Toppin, and I'm convinced because the Knicks let him go.
Sure.
I'm anti-Obi Toppin because the Knicks had him in the first place over Tyrese Halliburton, but that's also fine.
But you watch Obi Toppin really stick it to the Knicks in the Pacers-Knicks series. And I'm convinced that this is because we sent a Javi Baez, who's a good player, was a great player with the Cubs, won a World Series there, hasn't won a World Series in New York. We sent Javi Baez for the prospect we got, but it was PCA. I think he's just rooting against PCA.
For the people in Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland, elsewhere, PCA refers to Pete Crow-Armstrong, a one-time
MVP candidate,
top prospect in the Mets organization, PJ's team, who now plays for the Chicago Cubs, Andy's team. So that's for our international listeners. PCA is Pete Crow-Armstrong, a baseball player.
MVP candidate. Maybe the front runner right now? Would you say that?
Not the front runner right now.
I'm happy that there's, enthusiasm as of June 20th in Cubs land. And obviously the Mets who didn't they just get worked over by the Braves? Is that
lost 6 straight. Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. All right.
Best team in baseball, Chicago Cubs.
Andy, you got to see my Guardians up close and personal yesterday. How was your trip to whatever they call it now? The Pac Bell Park, I'll call
Oracle
it just
Park.
this time. Okay.
It was great. I took my near 5-year-old daughter there. Did not watch a lot of baseball.
Sure.
Surprising probably to most dads that I didn't get to really lock in on the game. Didn't get my scorebook out and wasn't keeping score. To be completely honest, we lasted 4 innings. It was a tough day at the ballpark. It had high hopes. Really, the attraction of the ballpark I've determined is that we get to take the ferry in to the park.
That's sick. Super cool.
Take the ferry in and out, and that's what my daughter really her favorite part of it. So yeah, didn't watch a lot of Guardians baseball, to be completely honest. But it was an incredibly low scoring game, despite being the wind was like howling out. It's always interesting to be. I wonder if there's any statistics on it. If pitchers actually like pitch better when the wind's howling out because they know they have to pitch a little bit better.
They lock in a little bit more. Focus, like the pitter patter of the raindrops, make you focus just that much more. The wind might make the pitcher focus that much more.
I think that's like a legitimate theory that could be proven out. And I have this theory based off being at a World Series game where the wind was humming out and the score was 1-0. Your Guardians, then Indians, won that game.
Yep.
I think that, I was thinking about the JJ Spawn rain delay, and maybe the best comp for the reset was the Cubs Indians rain delay.
I mean, I don't really want to talk about that. That's a hard one. That's a tough one. It's a tough one to talk about. I remember where I was, what I was doing, what happened. Thank God it came only, 5 months after we actually won a title in a Game 7. So if it hadn't, it would still be just an absolute. Yeah, the Cubs sort of went back, reassessed after Rajai Davis had taken your guy, the sort
Chapman?
of malignant, criminal Aroldis Chapman, who you guys just loved cheering for and rooting for, was sort of your hero. Guy, Aroldis Chapman, took him deep, and then you reset in the rain delay, and came out and won the World Series. That's right.
That was a better baseball team won. That was the thing that came out of that.
JJ Spawn, you're right. Maybe he did reset. They'll need to be dialed in. I don't know if the wind is howling out at Pac Bell Park. It's howling in Cromwell, Connecticut. Got a little bit of wind today, like legit gusts in the 40s, 50s, like sitting at like 25. Kind of an interesting dynamic. Certainly not playing anywhere near Oakmont. We came out yesterday. We had grumpy Wyndham just fresh off beating the piss out of a locker, shooting a quick round of 64. We had the sheriff of the Fair Police back in sort of safer environs. The crowd under control, the rioters under control, the looters under control. Gets back in the saddle at TPC River Highlands and posts a quick 62. Could have been a 61, bogeyed 17. With a sort of a duffy little putt off the back of the green there, but shoots 62, takes a FRL with Austin Eckroat. Scotty had some interesting thoughts on setup on a Wednesday morning press conference after we had recorded our preview show on Tuesday. Kind of happened right in the middle of our CBS deal on Wednesday. Did you load in the audio of Scotty talking on Wednesday morning right prior to his 62 on Thursday?
It's a long
do you want
clip.
to set us up?
But I think he said some really good things in here. Like everybody just looks at the score and says that's what is, it's easy or hard. And he's so right about that. Like score is just like relative, right?
Yeah.
You could shoot a really good 62 and, like yesterday, his 63, maybe it was really, it wasn't because everybody shot like 60, 65. But, he talked about that. But my favorite part was just, he's just doubled down on his fair test. But there was a lot of good stuff in here. I'm gonna play it. PJ also alerted us that maybe there's a new lieutenant in Scotty's office ranks. JT really he promoted the quote saying, preach Scotty. So maybe he's trying to join the precinct. So here's Scotty on fair test.
Last year, 22 under par got you into a playoff. 22 under par didn't even win. Is this course, given it's the last signature event on the PGA Tour for the season, is this course too easy?
Golf's funny in that sense. I think people when they watch golf, it's not like other sports where you want us to look like y'all when we play golf. I think it's just kind of one of those funny things. It's like you watch the NBA and you're like, man, I wish they couldn't dunk. I wish they were scoring less. I wish their shooting percentage was lower on 3-pointers. And like if you watch tennis, you're like, man, I wish the ball was going slower so they look like me out there playing tennis. It's not like that. As much as some people want us to feel like them. Professional golf is different than amateur golf. We get a lot of time to prepare, to go out and play, and the guys out here are really good at golf. Like if you stand there on the driving range and you watch a range session, that ball doesn't go offline very often. And I think sometimes, especially in this day and age, people get way too caught up in the winning score being what is a proper test. I think a proper test is good shots being rewarded and bad shots being punished. I think this is one of the best golf courses for that. There's opportunity out there. And there's also punishment. Like you look at the closing stretch, 15, if you hit a good shot, you got a birdie opportunity. If you try and bail out right, you're going to be a bunker short right of the green. You're going to have a 40-yard bunker shot. It's a hard shot. 16, if you hit a good shot, you're going to have a good look at birdie. If you bail out and go long, it's a tough chip down the hill. 17, if you hit the fairway, you're going to have a chance to hit in there close to the pin. If you hit in the left rough, you probably can't get to the green. I mean, that's what we look for in golf courses. In terms of, you want good shots to be rewarded and bad shots to be punished. It's as simple as that.
Last year, 22 under par.
Hit a good shot, you're going to have a good look at birdie.
Oh, you're mixing and matching sound boards. You're integrating sounds.
I mean,
love this.
That's what we look for in golf courses. In terms of, you want good shots to be rewarded and bad shots to be punished. It's as simple as that. And the winning score, I think people get way too caught up in. And I'm not saying necessarily that even par is a bad winning score. Like some weeks like the US Open, you hit 2 great shots and you're going to get rewarded with a par. And that's fine. I think that's good too. I think across the board, the way we get tested in professional golf is very good. I think we play different types of golf courses. We play different types of grass. We play different types of winning scores. We just see different tests, and I think not one is better than the other. But the most frustrating thing for me when I play a golf tournament is when you see good shots not getting rewarded and bad shots not being punished properly. That's
You're giddy. Come on. Just mix it and match.
Different tests, and I think not one is better than the other. But the most frustrating thing for me when I play a golf tournament is when you see good shots not getting rewarded and bad shots not being punished properly. That's really all we look for. And so, do I care that 22 under wins this week? No. Like, I played good last year, and if they somehow change it to 12 under by making the pins in silly spots and doing stuff to trick up the golf course, what we want is a fair test. And I think having birdies at the end sometimes is a pretty exciting finish. I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Fair test. Dun dun. Can I read a quick golf advice email on the dun real quick? I don't need to do it right now, but we got golf advice. I went through those for Friday. On the dun sound effect, it goes, just an email. I've been cracking up lately over Law and Order sound effects, that iconic dun, and it reminded me of Brush with its origins on a golf course of all places. A few years back, I had the chance to play in a national member guest tournament. The host club was a top 100 track nestled in the middle of nowhere. The state would give it away. On a final day, we were paired with a gentleman and his son. Around the fourth tee, with a bit of downtime, I struck up some small talk. I asked the son the usual, so what do you do for work? He gave me his answer, then nodded toward his dad and said, he's in entertainment. So, member guest, national, middle of nowhere, top 100 course.
Dick Wolf?
He's in entertainment. He nodded towards his dad. A few holes later, we gathered that they were from L.A., the dad worked in the, quote, music business. Naturally, that could mean anything. Producer, session guy, roadie, who knows? Turns out, quote unquote, music business in this case meant he composed the music for television, most notably for Law and Order. Yes, that guy. The one responsible for the most legendary sound effect in TV history. Dun dun. Not only that, but he scored the entire series and its spin-off. So SVU and all these others. The guy was as laid back as could be, total golf junkie, member at, no joke, over 7 clubs. I stopped keeping track. Apparently, the Law and Order residuals pay well, because by the 15th hole, it was clear they weren't going to make the shootout. No problem. He casually phoned his pilot, who was waiting in a nearby town, and told him to get the plane ready. As we teed off for the shootout, we watched the jet zip overhead, westbound and homebound. Couldn't have been a nicer, cooler guy. The coolest dun-dun in golf. So the guy scoring has played 7 clubs and private jet. I'm sure he's got other sources of income beyond the Law and Order residuals. But now it's reemerged.
It's kind of crazy
on this podcast.
Making music for a mediocre TV show pays that much.
God, the mediocre is very unkind. It's had like a 30-year run. I don't know. The old folks love that. Scotty with some good thoughts. I mean, he's back in the saddle. I think I would push, we have an interview with Viktor Hovland coming. Rare interview for Shotgun Start. He loved Oakmont. Talked about how he thought it could have been stupid, was worried it was going to get stupid. Like you, had some issues with the mustache around 17 bunker. But loved the setup at Oakmont.
It's a full beard.
Yeah. The schmutz where everything gets caught.
Big Mouth beard. It's more famous than Big Mouth after this year.
A lot of positives about Oakmont. I would push back. If you are a professional at the highest level of your craft, is it insane to say, like, I would like good shots rewarded and bad shots punished? Is that the craziest notion? If there's a podcaster that's much lesser than you, who just fell ass backwards into a top rating and top advertising, but clearly is a bozo and was just at the right place, right time, and wasn't being rewarded properly for his substandard podcasting takes, wouldn't that bother you? He's at the highest. What's he supposed to say? I don't want good shots rewarded?
I think he needs to understand. He needs to grasp that golf is like a game that's inherently unfair.
Okay.
And I think like where I have, where I would push back is that the tour where he seems to be most comfortable. And I think most players, I mean, like there's a couple players that just like play better at majors. One, Cam Young. But where he's most comfortable, because of this overriding theory with pro golfers, this exact theory, we get just like such mediocre setups because they're so afraid of players thinking they might be unfair that we never get to see players push to hit great shots. We get to see it sometimes, but like Memorial's really the only setup because it's Jack Nicklaus. I guess Arnold Palmer has some of this too, gravitas, where they can push the setup a little bit further, and those events stand out because of the setup. And I think that's where my, this is the theory and the overriding thought on tour that makes the tour's week-to-week product a little bit watered down, because we can't put a whole location on more than 1.5% slope. We can't do that. That's not something we do. Meanwhile, Oakmont, it's on 3.5% slope. And that's why you saw all those 3 putts. That's why,
Scotty a lot of 3 putts.
Yeah, I think like, here's the thing, like if you take away anything from last week, is like, look at how unprepared and so many players were to play that style of setup. Now, Scotty talked about grass and all these grass, wind, score. What he didn't talk about was like, what would be really cool is if week in, week out on tour, we showed up and we didn't know what to expect because the setup was really varied and different.
That's interesting.
And this was like the job of the setup crew on tour should be, they are the defense. They are the defenders against the pro golfers in this case. What they do, if you look at it that way, would be, if you've been watching the NBA Finals, Indiana made like a defensive change last night. They stopped pressuring full court for most of the game. Like that, every other game they've been picking up SGA like right when he got the ball. They kind of sat back more and put more effort on defending like the perimeter. And it made like a huge change. It really rattled OKC. They won in a blowout. A lot of other things went well for Indiana, but they changed their defensive scheme from one game to the next. On the PGA Tour, they literally just roll up the same setup philosophy week in, week out. Like it's the same green speeds.
Same. We
have defined pinnable slope that we can put a whole location. We like to have the rough this way. If you don't have tour sand, we recommend you put tour sand in, so the sand's the same. What they try and do is make each setup like a Marriott. The players know exactly what they're getting when they show up. And to me, if you wanted really great, compelling product on the PGA Tour, part of that needs to be that each week is different. And if you think about it from like the TV product standpoint, it gives the announcers something to think about. It gives them built-in segments. Like it's something like it's tension. Where sports thrives on is tension. And that's why people love the majors so much more than the PGA Tour, is because there's real tension. And obviously there's gravitas and all that, but some of the tension comes from the setup.
It's a good point. I would say they're more partners than defenders. Is that right?
Yes.
They're facilitators, not defenders. I think people would push back, not me, but like the devil's advocate would be like, well, like they want safety and predictability within the product because we know this works to this amount of level, right? We'll get this rating, we'll get this score, we'll get this like amount of members happy, not this amount of members, limited amount of members not happy. They can kind of having a little bit more of like a controlled atmosphere. It's safe. It's for sure probably less interesting on the whole, but
it keeps the players
the
happier.
car crashes are more minimal, right?
And
whether
it underscores
or
it underscores the whole issue.
Right.
It keeps the players happy. Is like the main constituent that they're worried about is the players.
Yeah.
The constituent that they should be most worried about is the fans. What do the fans most want? What the fans want to see, they want to see players on the edge. That is like very apparent. They want to see players overcoming obstacles. And the tour's whole setup philosophy runs counter to that because they're trying to keep the players happy. And that's like a major issue that I'd love to see Brian Rolapp look into. But I'm guessing that's like very far down on the list of things. But that would be
when you start talking about
competitive
product and
integrity.
Fans, yeah, fans.
Competitive integrity.
Yeah. If he cares about it, and it seems like he will. I thought it was a pretty decent, like Scotty, like you said, to get into like, we should show up at different playing surfaces, different grasses, different settings. But at the end of the day, he wants, some guardrails there, right? Good shots rewarded. I just think it's not the craziest quote from a guy who's playing at the. It's kind of like, what is he supposed to say? But I get I get how that brings the question of fairness, fair policing into play. When you talk about, there was a quote I think Kevin Kisner had on the Smiley pod. I haven't listened to the pod. I saw the cutout about the difference sort of in a major championship approach versus this predictability and these guardrails of a tour. He's like, well, if we were on tour, we would have been ball in hand all day on Sunday at Oakmont. Sam Burns picks the ball up and goes and finds a nice place to play it from. Like, that's essentially, I'm paraphrasing. It's like he goes and finds a good spot for him, which it was kind of anathema to the entire point of golf. Whether you think it's fair, unfair, madness, beautiful, whatever, like all these rules, all these tangents, like the whole basic premise is you sort of you play it as it lies. You play it as it lies. That is like everything grows out from there, all the extra little rules. And like the tour is farther away from that than closer, I would say, playing it as it lies. And that's sometimes as it lies is a total jamming. It's a total unfair jamming. But that is golf. You play it as it lies with very minimal exceptions and increasingly more exceptions on the PGA Tour. A good quote from Scotty. Go ahead. You're going to jump in there? You want to add?
Golf's effectively a microcosm of life. That's why I think people like the game so much. And just like life, you just like have to deal. You don't get a free drop because you were put in a bad position. Maybe sometimes you do, metaphorically speaking. But like you get in a jam, you figure your way out of it. And sometimes you screw up and make a double bogey. But, then you wake up the next day and it's a new hole and you try and figure out how to dig yourself out. But like, I think that's the thing. The tour mentality is just, I mean, it's why there's such a gulf between tour run products and non-tour run products. It's why the tour owns none of the most valuable products in golf, is because they have an amazing propensity to screw up anything that they touch.
You know who's looking for a free drop? Windy. Old Windy Clark. Scotty's quote had some kernels of truth and insight and kind of a good take, a good soliloquy in a way for someone who's asked his opinion. Windy Clark is looking for a free drop. He's ready for everyone to move on, including the victims of his temper tantrum. He said, I've had a lot of high. This was after he shot a 64. He's right back in the saddle and playing well at TPC River Highlands. I had a lot of highs and lows in my career, especially this year. Some lows. I made a mistake that I deeply regret. I'm very sorry for what happened, but I also like to move on, not only for myself but for Oakmont, for the USGA, and kind of focus on the rest of this year and things that come up. I still want to make the Ryder Cup team. I'm still on the outside looking in for the FedEx Cup. So I'm starting to move on and focus on those things. So he's ready to move on, not for himself, but also for Oakmont and the USGA. This is like if our good friend, the gentleman, the piss bear, like walked off the plane and said, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on for myself, the airline, the flight attendants, everyone involved. I'm ready to move on. This is what like piss bear did this. What? It's not up to you, to Oakmont, to move on. It's not up to you that Oakmont moves on.
Hold on. Hold the phone.
You don't get to say that.
Piss bear and breaking a locker are not the same.
Oh, I'm not saying that they are analogous or comparable in any way. Piss bear committed crimes. He committed crimes. Now, the Oakmont members may think Wyndham committed crimes and should be committed.
Not Oakmont members think he committed a crime.
I was not putting those on the same footing. I'm just talking about responsibility for actions and just telling, everybody move on. They're not analogous, to be clear.
Can we do two things could be true?
What? Yes.
This quote is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Asking Oakmont to move on.
Paulo?
Like a mere 48 hours, like 72 hours after. It's not like the quote should have read like, I'm deeply sorry. I totally screwed up. Golf's a frustrating game, and I let my emotions get the most of me, and I can't express how sorry I am for what I did, right? So two things can be true. This is a terrible quote. Whoever gave him the advice on this is what you should say I'm constantly amazed at how bad the advice that these players are getting is on like how to handle situations.
Yep.
Now, the other thing can be true, too, is that Oakmont like builds new versions of these lockers, and this is not the end of the world. What he did, So both parties in this case are being completely ridiculous.
I would say he's getting a little bit too publicly shamed for this. Like, I think he's an idiot. It's boorish. It's bad behavior. He should be punished. There should be repercussions. Now, when he throws a quote out there, the public shaming will continue. When you kind of walked yourself into this one. I love Paulo from ESPN said it's kind of incredible how he turned an apology into sort of a plea for a Ryder Cup consideration, continuing to like throw it out there like the biggest non-apology ever. There's just, I don't know. I keep hearing more and more that the Oakmont people are these are not going quietly. They're not going to let this go. It's going to continue.
What if Oakmont said we're done being an anchor site because of Wyndham Clark? So no more U.S. Opens because of Wyndham Clark.
We can't abide this. Not because of the, every non-playable surface being a mud pit, but it's Wyndham that like we will not be an anchor site anymore.
I wonder when that golf course is going to be like back to normal. Should ask Mike.
This time next year? I don't know.
Maybe. Do you think they're going to have to like resod all the rough areas?
I don't know enough to suggest that. I don't think they should. Do they need to do that?
I think they have to do it in spots.
Yeah.
It's just like pure mud.
Seed it this fall and spring? I don't know. I'm not an agronomist. But yeah, it's tough. That's windy.
They should have had no fans.
What?
They should have said no fans. Would have been a better tournament anyways.
Would have been fun.
You know what it would have been? It would have been more fair.
That guy just bought a new private jet every time we use that. He might be joining a new top 100 club.
The good news is that we are a golf podcast. He appears to like golf.
Yeah.
Maybe he won't seek legal repercussions that we're using it for free.
Wyndham's getting bad advice on his apology, but we can offer some good advice, and that's go to oarsanalps.com and use the promo code shotgun15. This is the best advice we can give you. It's hot. Weather's been crazy lately, just dumping buckets. Golf courses flooded here yesterday, but we're about to hit 100 degrees. We got our member guest next Tuesday. looking like it's going to be 100 degrees for a run around the East Coast. It's just been goofy weather, but the sun and heat are coming next week. You can prepare. Go to oarsandalps.com/shotgun start. Use the promo code shotgun15. You get 15% off. You get that hydrating antioxidant sunscreen spray named Men's Health Editor's Choice for good reason. You got face and scalp mist. You got the matte sunscreen stick or the clear ghost stick. I would just say both. One's SPS 50, one's SPS 35. Feels like, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about the SPF numbers, but I feel like once you get over 20, like what's the difference?
Oh,
right?
I think there's a huge difference.
35 and 50?
A huge difference.
Okay. I'll let the
I think
Orson Helps
35.
be
35's could be like child's play.
Okay.
And 50. Once you get to 50, that my question would be what over 50? Are there gains over 50?
Yeah. What's the difference? All right. We'll have to study up on that. You got the
You want to
everyday
hear how I'm getting jammed?
What?
I got this sunscreen that I have to use on my kid. My wife is, just has to be used. And it's a spray bottle, and she doesn't like being sprayed.
Sure.
So I have to spray it into my hand and then apply.
Yeah.
Your kids like being sprayed? The spray?
No. They start jumping
You just
around.
do the stick.
Well, we do the spray. We tell them you just got to grin and bear it. And they start jumping around and hopping around. But it's hydrating antioxidant sunscreen spray from Orson Alps. So they smell fresh. PJ was impressed with the smell of the spray. You smell like a pina colada or something.
Yeah, it was coconutty. I liked it. It was good.
Good smell. So go to oarsandalps.com/shotgun start. Use the promo code Friday. You get 15%.
The spray makes it so easy.
It's great. It's incredible stuff. This is good sunscreen. Someone who's not good right now is Jordan Speith. He is home, doesn't need sunscreen. WDs after round one with a scap, like a neck shoulder issue, hurt himself on the range. First WD in almost, I think, 300 starts on the PGA Tour. So that's a bit of a bummer, a hit to the Travelers star parade of stars, that not guys, but stars that they have at Travelers. So he's out. Elsewhere in the stars, Ricky Fowler near DFL. Gary Woodland, another sponsors exemption, not doing well. He's T53, went 67.75. So Speithy was not a sponsors, moved in via this year's FedEx Cup. But, as we get to the last signature event with not full merit guidelines like the playoffs might have, I wouldn't say it's been a banner year for the sponsors exemptions making.
Well,
that.
I mean,
we're
they've
gonna
been pretty one-dimensional.
It's true. Clanton was another one. He's top 30 at the minute, but and Speith WD, kind of a sad finish there. PJ, you watched on Thursday with Schefter. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if there was a golf tournament going on, if there were golfers out there playing, or if it was just Adam Schefter, who had to make Robert Damron, my old morning drive colleague. I wouldn't say he's like a stretch four, but he had to feel like it next to Shefty. But he's out there plodding around. It was leading PGAtour.com. It was every tweet, every coverage was Shefty. I was like, are they even playing golf today? Is Scottie Scheffler out there? Is anybody out there but Shefty?
Shefty was a walking reporter with the Rory Keegan-Bradley pairing, and they steered hard into Shefty's existence. He was out there in his bright yellow shirt, his Michigan man hat, was fired up to be on the grounds. And every couple holes or so, they kept asking him for NFL to PGA Tour comparisons,
which we've done for years on this podcast. Not the most original idea. I think Andy and I, right? We were on that years ago, NFL golfer comps. With Kevin Clark, we did that. Maybe
Andy did it on This Is Football. It's like a month and a half ago.
A month ago,
not even. So
now we got
it's become a very popular segment on a lot of different podcasts and a lot of different outlets. I feel like we might have done it 5 years ago. That was the first one.
Good.
We did an NBA one with Bacon. years ago.
That's right. So Shefty leans into this, and you were sort of horrified by some of the comps, PJ.
Leans in is like an underdeveloped state. It was like every time that they were walking between holes, it was like, Shefty, let's get some more comps. And some of these were just absolutely just abhorrent. So he comps like there are some that I could see how you get there. He's talking about Luke Clanton and Cam Ward, top prospects that are looking to like, change an organization. Sure. Whatever. Then there are some, he gives Brian Rolapp to Roger Goodell, low hanging fruit. Everybody loves that. Patrick Mahomes, Scottie Scheffler, okay, cool. Like totally great. Then there are some outlandish ones. Ben Griffin gets comped to Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I don't understand how you arrive at that conclusion really whatsoever. Are we calling Ben Griffin a system player? But
No,
Brock Purdy not big on
guess I can get
TikTok,
there.
not big influencer.
I think I could get there. Two guys who weren't the top prospects had to kind of work their way up. I
feel like somehow that was insulting to both
Milk
of them.
toast.
Another one that was insulting.
I think it'd be insulting to Ben Griffin because Ben Griffin's won something.
Yeah.
Well,
we're a golf
sure.
podcast. We're partial to golfers.
Another one that's insulting to the golfer, in my opinion, he comes Adam Scott to Russell Wilson.
That's terrible.
If I'm Adam Scott, I'm like walking off. ESPN never talk to me again.
Who is my Russell Wilson comp?
Justin Rose, who is equally as like winner, but also kind of cringy, has a weird social media thing. Adam Scott is like commonly accepted as like the coolest guy to ever exist.
Pretty authentic.
And Russell Wilson is the most like fraudulent, like media contrivant. Yeah. Like I don't, Adam Scott, I would be pissed. I would be livid. I would be livid.
And Adam Scott's pretty authentic. He just tells you how, like, if he's saying it, it's not because, Subway told him to say it necessarily.
No. And, has Adam Scott ever eaten a Danger Witch? Probably not. I would doubt it. Minwoo Lee to Juju Smith-Schuster, only because they're both big on TikTok. I mean, Juju was big on TikTok like 5 years ago when he was a relevant NFL player.
Yeah, he doesn't play anymore,
Juju never was a speed demon either.
No, Juju was a possession receiver fighting over the middle, not a speed demon.
Xavier Worthy or something like that. Yeah.
I think Xavier Worthy has too many too much legal conflict, complications.
No, that's Rashee Rice. That's the wrong Kansas City receiver.
Oh, what happened to didn't Xavier Worthy? Something happened this offseason.
He got hurt. Didn't he?
He got hurt.
Get hurt? Maybe.
Something happened this offseason with Xavier Worthy.
I think that actually may be true. It's hard to keep the Chiefs.
It seems like every Chiefs receiver has issues.
Another one that Andy had a much better comp for. He comps Jordan Spieth to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, obviously, the early career success for Matthew Stafford was phenomenal, right? He was on the Lions. They literally never made the playoffs. He won like 6 games a year in the early season success. This is not a guy that, burned the world down at 20, 21 years old like Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Andy's comp of Hideki is the actual Matthew Stafford comp for anybody wondering out there. But he was waxing poetic about how, both of these guys have won big events. Jordan Spieth has more majors
because
than
they're both
Stafford
from Dallas.
Super Bowls. Yeah, Texas connection, and they're hurt all the time. I think that was kind of this was before the Spieth WD too, so I guess we even got a little bonus action there. And then top it all off, he comped JJ Spawn to Zach Baun, the Philadelphia Eagles linebacker.
Yeah. Because Spawn and Baun, right?
He said that wasn't why. I'm wagering a lot of money that was why.
Right.
Because he was like, both of them are come from relative obscurity. Zach Baun was like a pretty decent college player who fell the 3rd round because of some injuries and some legal issues. He wasn't great on New Orleans, but like nice player. People know who Zach Baun was. He obviously had a great year last year. JJ Spawn had a tour win before. Like, I I don't think either of these guys are complete randos, but I think it was just because of the rhyming.
Totally.
I agree. I can't believe that that was a comp other than the last name rhyming.
And then to top it all off, my personal favorite, Charlie Woods to Arch Manning. Because why not? We just gotta throw it out there.
Charlie qualified for the U.S. Junior yesterday. I can't believe the media attention for the U.S. Junior qualifier.
You know, he was in on. I was talking to Brentley. He had a nom de plume. He was on an alias in the qualifier
really?
last week. It was like Jack Brown or something. Was what Charlie was playing under.
Nuclear still uncovered it.
Did they? Oh, I didn't even know. Did they? All right.
I don't know.
Like,
I saw that. That's the tweet I saw. But who knows who the source tweet was when Nuclear's tweeting about it.
Charlie Woods to Arch Manning. Do we need to be doing that to Charlie? I mean,
No, we don't. I don't think we need to be. We certainly don't need to be doing it to Charlie, who has not played like in college or at any like top level yet. Versus, I don't even know.
You could say the same about Arch, right?
Well, Arch was the best quarterback on Texas last year.
Was he?
He was the number one prospect in his class for across several classes.
Well, that is up for interpretation.
Okay.
Some people think that that's because of his last name.
Well, I think if you asked Scratch or Nuclear Golf who the top prospect in the 2026 golf class or whatever class he's in, they'd say Charlie Woods without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're gonna be thirsting for that. Yeah,
maybe it's a fair comp, but that one I just loved. PGA Tour to NFL comps. Let's throw a guy not on the PGA Tour comp to not an NFL player, just because we have to throw the Charlie catnip out there.
I got to ask a question.
Yeah,
you're a big fantasy football guy.
I am.
Are you starting to get locked in? Is this the time of year where you're starting to get locked in?
I haven't really gotten too deep yet. I've done like 2 rookie drafts that I didn't.
Sounds like deep. Come on, 2 rookie drafts on June 20th.
I didn't have first round picks this year, so I kind of just sat there and took whoever fell to me in the end of the second and third rounds.
All right. Well, I'm gonna need you in that rookie league. I'm gonna need you to think about the 12 spot. Who we're gonna take in the 12 spot.
I can listen. Ty Tracy worked out, so we had a good
draft last year.
We had a great draft last year, so we gotta keep it going.
One thing you should draft into your lineup is a Mobjack Belt. We are fortunate to have them as a newest sponsor. This is an easy one that we are to get in partnership with. They sent us some product. It's they come from folks who've been in the belt game a while, know what they're doing, know their way around making a high quality belt. It's a family-run company. They're inspired by the American spirit. It's named for the World War II era USS Mobjack torpedo tender, which was named for the Mobjack Bay off the coast of Virginia. This is spelled M-O-B, like mob, Jack, J-A-K, no C, mobjack.com, M-O-B-J-A-K. These belts are amazing. I wore them all last week at Oakmont. Just high quality. It isn't covered in logos. If sometimes, that's I got golf advice. We get so many golf advices like, can I wear the logo here? Is this too many logos? If you want to err on the side of caution, go to Mobjack. You can use the promo code Fried Egg. You get 15% off. Fried Egg at mobjack.com. No C again. Luxury lifestyle belts, handcrafted in the USA in small batches and using old world artisan craftsmanship. I had the Kenny Bunkport one. I was rocking all last week at the US Open. It's got like a red, white, and blue sort of design for it. So it was perfect for the US Open, leaning into the patriotism there. So I've got a Southampton's belt. So it's named after some of these great American vacation spots. You have a Carmel by the Sea, Telluride, a bunch of really good designs. You go to mobjack.com, use the promo code FRIEDEGG. This is like right up our alley. It probably is. If you're listening to this podcast, it's up yours too, up your alley. Use the promo code FRIEDEGG. These belts I have a lot of belts now, and some of them are they become pretty flimsy pretty quickly. These are husky, legit, they stout boys, like real belts that do their job.
I love my 2 belts that they sent.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
I'm a big fan. They've immediately like become my go-to belt.
Yeah. Yep. These are guys who know their way around a belt. Go to mobjack.com. Use the promo code Friday. Great designs that you'll like. Let's hit some quick news or at leaderboard check-in. PJ, your Thomas Bjorn pick at the Call It Companies Championship.
It was bad. It was a bad pick. I'll get out in front of it. He was playing
78 he shot.
He was playing well, and I guess I underestimated the impact of a couple weeks off on a hot streak. And hand up, that was on me. Should have taken the other Danish guy because Soren's going to win this thing. It's on me.
You already
Spread
took
watch.
Soren, though. You know,
Yeah.
I guess we don't have our one and done league yet, but that's in the works. It'll be in the works in perpetuity for this podcast.
Stephen Alker is your early leader there. Spread watch doesn't look too dramatic right now. You got Stephen Dodd at 12 over. He shot 82, but I mean, there's a long way to go, I suppose.
I've identified an issue. I've taken a lot of defending champions this year.
Oh, where?
It just
PGA Tour?
doesn't work out.
No. At the Women's PGA.
Shouldn't have taken the guy that was, looking for cameras on Sunday at the U.S. Open and the major the next week.
Fair. The Women's PGA down at Fields Ranch, East Frisco, Omni, whatever. Gino Titicool is your first round leader, shot a 68, which would be a great winner for the PGA, LPGA. She's probably been the best player in the world this year. Minjee Lee, right on her heels. Lexi is T3 at the moment. Retirees out there doing wonders. Lexi Thompson. So she's playing well early on. Good leaderboard. When you talk about Gino and Minjee, 1-2, but a long way to go up there. And then on the KFT, the Cucumber, who we'd love to see. Cucumber, Quade, Quad, Cummings, 12 under as we're through the middle of the second round. This is a Blue Cross Blue Shield, Kansas, Wichita Open. Had some awful weather out there, blow a bunch of trees down. But we'd love to see the Cucumber. And your boy, ADDC, Adrian Dumont, Deschasart, shot a 59, which,
59.
Quickly puts you in third by the middle of Friday. No, not good enough for first on the KFT.
Great university. He's at home in the Midwest, even though he's from Belgium. And what can I say? That Scotty would say, just to admire the low scores.
Let's take what it gives you. Fair, good shots are being rewarded out there in Wichita. News, Walker Cup, we have our first three members of the American team, Jackson Coyven, Ben James, and Michael Lasasso, the recent NCAA individual champ, are your first three members of the 10-person team for the Walker Cup coming to Cypress Point in September. They will obviously have, if they are American, the USAM winner and the McCormick Medal winner get spots if they're American. They may announce three or four more members prior to that USAM. They sort of have this international team selection committee that it isn't like a hard and fast sort of schedule, but they have the first three out. That's obviously going to be an awesome event in September. And Coyven, James, and Lasasso are three pretty big.
Feels like Miles Russell's got to be on it here shortly after. All three of those guys, are studs.
Yeah, pretty good. So that's your early news. We have a bunch of golf advice. We're not going to get to.
If you go to certain places, Charlie Woods has got to be on the team, right?
That's a good point. I mean,
Charlie got snubbed.
The engagement aggregators and thirst buckets would put Charlie Woods on the Cypress Point team or the Walker Cup team yesterday.
How could you leave him off? It's at Cypress Point.
You have to do it. Just have to do it. That's news. We got a bunch of golf advice. We're going to get to those next week. We have a sponsor for golf advice, so we're going to start hammering those on Fridays. Much more. We got some great ones.
Stuff yesterday. Did you get your package?
I didn't. PJ, what do you need to jump in with here?
We just got some late breaking news. Captain of Motor City Golf Club, JJ Spawn, has pulled out of the Rocket, but he is being replaced by Cameron Young.
God, that's sad. Sad that Spawn pulled out of the Rocket.
Okay.
Get big.
The guy deserves a break.
Keeping your commitments.
He's got to show up for his home team.
He's not actually on that, right?
They don't have any other choice.
Somebody's got to be.
Okay. All right, so breaking
I
news.
think we're
Spawn
going to
is
talk
out.
about who Detroit Golf Club should be sponsored or should be targeting next week, recruiting next week.
Okay, seems like a good subject for the week that we go to Detroit. So yeah, golf. I got some good ones in addition to the Law and Order, Music Boy. Some good stuff about a member of the PGA Tour marketing team referring to him as Adam Novak and Brian Griffin, and how it's hard to market those guys at a conference.
Man, we sure are spitballing, aren't we, Rich?
Adam Novak, Brian Griffin. It's like you can't market everything.
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for saying I don't sound defensive.
I'll tell you someone who wasn't defensive was Viktor Hovland, who we were able to get 15 minutes with. Going back to Cam Smith, one of our first interviewers, Travelers Week, we got a little time with Viktor Hovland, asked him his favorite fruit on the way out. PJ got him with that one.
Ceremonially, did Bud sit on the call?
No.
Just to hear the call was happening, even though he's not doesn't represent Victor.
There were no menacing agents staring at us on the Zoom as we asked questions this time. Though I think Victor does have the most menacing agent, if I have my facts right. But yes, no Bud Martin there, just turning his camera on as we hit the 15-minute mark precisely. Victor was down to talk about everything. We talked about Jay, the recent news of Jay and the new commissioner, and he was open to talking about that. Travelers, the Oakmont setup, sort of his upbringing and his development. So it was a good interview. Victor was pretty candid. Really enjoyed it. He was in a gregarious, I would say, open to chatting with two clowns more than Cam Smith so many years ago.
I was bummed I couldn't join.
Yeah, you had school drop off, right? Yeah, it got moved on us. So a good interview with Victor. Thanks to him for joining for a little bit. He's in contention at Travelers. Played well. I mean, it was hard not to shoot a mid-60s number on Thursday, but he's in it at Travelers. So we'll kick it to Victor and then talk to you next week. Start with the news, kind of the big news of the week. Just your initial reaction, obviously, to Jay Monahan leaving in 18 months and the PGA Tour, of which you are a critical player and face, one of several, but you're one of its superstars. Getting a new commissioner and Brian Rolapp. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I just saw that yesterday. Was kind of surprised a little bit. I had a Titleist shoot yesterday, so I wasn't in the mandatory meeting. So I just saw it on social media afterwards, and I didn't really get too into it. It was a really busy day yesterday, so I don't really have too many thoughts. It's not super surprised that someone's gonna take over for Jay. He's been in that role for a while, and obviously after all the tribulations that's been going on the last couple of years with Live and PGA Tour, it's been pretty hectic. And yeah, I guess I don't know how normal it is to announce that you're leaving and still work for another 18 months. But yeah, we're just going to roll with it, I guess.
Yeah, that does seem sort of the curiosity of like, what is this 18-month sort of overlap and hybrid model? I guess with the new individual, Brian, taking over, are there immediate changes or things you think could be done better, that you want to see that your tour do better?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's everything could get better for sure. I think especially the messaging the last couple of years, certainly against in the face of the Live Tour emerging, I think the PGA Tour didn't really go with the best strategy. I think the Tour certainly had leverage in terms of just historical events, tradition, and I think they should have honed in a little bit more on that. Just playing the money game and the finances, that it's a tough one to compete against the Saudis. So I think really should just hone in on the tradition. Obviously, back at the Travelers, it's a great event, and I think it's just really cool to come back to places where past champions and you've seen shots coming down the stretch where you remember from that year that guy won and pulled off that shot. It's like that's what makes the PGA Tour. That's why people tune in to watch, and you see storylines from the best players in the world winning again, defending a win or something like that, or a new emergent player changing their whole life by winning a tournament or finishing up there and changing their career trajectory. And I think the tour really needs to kind of hone in on that messaging and creating better storylines, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you still feel like there's some, I don't know if hard feelings is the word, but from like the framework agreement announcement, there's still like that was going to be hard to overcome even 2+ years gone?
To me, to be honest, the last couple of years, I've just kind of kept my head down. I haven't really paid too close attention. I just focused on my game. The last couple of years haven't been the best on the course for me, so I've just really focused on that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's a little exhausting just to follow some of the stuff that's happening. Feels I can draw a lot of similarities with the PGA Tour to just politics in general, and I don't really. It's like the more I invest myself, the more frustrated I'm going to get. So, in my opinion, but the tour does a lot of really good stuff, and I am excited to come to every single event and compete. So that's what I want to focus on. But I do feel like the management side has been a little bit messy, in my opinion.
Yep. And now you're still getting questions from people like us about it. You spoke about the Travelers and that history and the tour building on that history. This is where you made your PGA Tour, or professional debut in 2019. I'm just wondering, how different of a player are you from that now 6 years? You've accomplished quite a lot. You're only 27. You've won 7 times. You've factored in multiple majors. How different are you as a player in terms of your game, your mental approach from that PGA Tour debut 6 years ago at the Travelers?
Yeah, very, very different. It's in some ways I kind of romanticize a little bit the version I was back then in some ways, but it's pretty cool to see just I hit it a long ways, or a lot further than I did back then. My swing is different. I think I'm in better shape. My short game is a little bit better. I putt better now because of aim point. That's helped me a lot. I can work the ball both ways. I can hit the ball a lot higher, and I feel like I'm way more just mature and comfortable under the pressure. So I feel like I'm a way more accomplished player than I was back then. But I do kind of just remember some of the ignorance that I had back then, and just stepping up and hitting a shot and the ball just going straight, and taking that for granted a little bit. So those days were pretty fun, and obviously showing up to every single event, just super excited to get out there and compete, and just even just getting paired with random guys that I'd never played with, that I'd watched on TV for a long time, just watching their games up close. It was really fun, really cool experience.
I mean, you've heard all the best in the game actually say that. Rory, Padraig Harrington, Tiger talked about like the innocence versus experience of your youth, and sort of with the more you play, the smarter you are, but also there's, I don't know if scar tissue is it, but maybe some
that's fair,
less reservation maybe. Sounds like you've experienced that over the first 6 years.
Yeah, it comes with it.
Yep. Is there something about the Travelers or TPC River Highlands that suits your eye particularly? We've seen, I wouldn't compare it to Oakmont or Oak Hill at all, but we've seen you succeed at some of these Northeast courses, right? With thicker rough and sort of that same aesthetic. Is there something about that kind of course that suits your eye?
I think it's definitely a much easier test than it was, for example, from last week or a Memorial or that type of golf course. It's a shorter golf course, and you can take it really low. I mean, we've seen Jim Furyk shoot 58 here. That back nine usually gets pretty fiery coming down the stretch. It's a super exciting tournament. Front nine's a bit more, I shouldn't say boring. It's just a bit more straightforward. But it still rewards really good golf. If you know where the ball is going and you're making some putts, you can shoot really low. But what I really like at the same time is that if you're a little bit off and you miss it on the wrong sides, you're going to get punished. So it's still a course where you can separate yourself with good play. So that's what I really like. And this year we've had some, the last couple of days we've had some rain. So it's a little bit softer. I think the scores will be pretty low this year. but the rough is still a little bit juicy, and the greens are still bouncing with all the rain. So I think it'll be a good test if I keep kind of hitting it like I did last week and keep building on that. It should be a good week.
You had this awesome quote on Saturday about you just want to see the shots. Last Saturday, see the shots and hit the shots. You're not necessarily like purely results driven or win driven. Like that's not the necessarily the priority or the animating inspiration at the beginning of the day. For performance in a signature event, do you prioritize that in any way or differently to another week? It's not a major, but it's something more. What is your approach on a signature event week like Travelers this week?
I really try to handle every single tournament that I play basically the same. I mean, I try to prepare and get my mind in a frame of mind so that I can compete at the highest level that I've got. Some weeks I feel better than others. Like the U.S. Open last week, I was feeling better about my game, but I still needed to dial in that driver in the practice rounds. So I played a ton of practice rounds. I think I played 9 holes on Monday. I played 18 on Tuesday, 18 on Wednesday, and that coupled with some hours on the range as well. It was pretty exhausting week, and especially being up there in contention, it just takes a lot out of you, mentally and physically. So this week, I'm going to take it a little bit easier. Feel like my game's in an okay position to play well. I don't necessarily need to go play the course a million times. I've seen it 5-6 times now, or I've played this tournament 5 times now. And so this will be more of a conservation of energy and try to get my mindset in the right place where I can get off to a hot start and see some putts go in.
How do you balance the conservation of energy like you were just talking about, but also the fact that you already know with the rain that scores are going to be pretty low and you're going to have to put up a number to be in contention on the weekend?
I just try to kind of focus on my own game. I know that if I keep hitting the irons that I have been basically all year, I've been giving myself a lot of birdie looks when I'm hitting from the fairway. It's just kind of off the tee. It's been a little bit squirrely. So just trying to this course isn't the hardest off the tee, so I should be able to hit a decent amount of fairways and give myself a lot of shorter irons in and give myself some looks. My putter hasn't been all that great, so just I'm going to try to put some work into the putter and hopefully for some reason it just seems to make a big difference when you get off to a nice start and you see a couple putts go in. Just kind of makes you feel good, and it feels like you can make every putt. And this course is kind of like that. So hopefully I just see a few putts go in early. That'd be nice.
Speaking of courses, did you think Oakmont was fair? Did you think that was a full test of skill?
Actually, for a U.S. Open with that setup, with those greens, I kind of had my mind set that it was going to be a little stupid. I'd never been there before, so when I set foot there on the property on Monday, I was like, okay, here we go. And it was pretty dry early in the week, and first couple of rounds, the greens are way faster than they were on Saturday and Sunday, and I actually thought it played easier in terms of on the greens on Saturday and Sunday because they were softer, they were slower, but it was harder to get to the green. But it was borderline in some places when it was firm because I think some of those fairways just slope a little too much, especially for me. Yep. I do tend to hit a cut off the tee, and number 9, 12, and 15 slope significantly left to right. So I guess the critique is, why don't you just have to draw it up against the hill, I guess. But I think that's where it can potentially get a little bit dicey. And I think on 17, you saw guys, for example, miss it right. And if it rolls down in the just short of the bunker, you're on the downslope in thick rough to a green that's pretty severe. So there are like a couple places like that. I think that's a bit much. But overall, I was honestly a big fan of the golf course, and I thought it did a really good job. To get a U.S. Open that doesn't have any penalty shots really off the tee. There are no trees. It's just thick rough, fairway, and tough greens. And in my opinion, he wasn't stupid, and the winning score was still 1 under par. There was only one guy that was under par. So I was very impressed, and I have to give Oakmont and the USGA a lot of credit for setting up the golf course.
Interesting. That's great. You obviously tend to spend some time home, or have usually about this time of year. You go back leading into like the link season, so to speak. Do you think the PGA Tour could spend, in concert with the DP World Tour, spend more time in Europe this time of year, maybe post US Open, post Travelers, kind of create some sort of hybrid tour?
I'd love to see that. Obviously, with the DP World Tour and the strategic alliance,
Right.
whatever that entails, would have been nice to, and these signature events, and there always been talk the last, 10, 20 years of a world tour. I think it'd be really cool to go to some of the coolest venues on the DP World Tour and have the best players in the world compete at those places. Like BMW at Wentworth, I think it's just an incredible event. Historic place. That would be a really cool place to play. I think, the Scottish Open is kind of a taste of that. I think that's become, it was a great tournament when it was a Rolex series as well, but I think it's cool to see a mixture of different players go to a tournament like that. I don't, in my opinion, the Renaissance is not the best links course. It's a beautiful property, but I'd like to see us go to other, maybe more historic places as well. So I'm a fan for that, but it's hard to make that work in the schedule for everybody.
All right, we got just two quick ones here. PJ, you want to lead them in? We spoke to Cameron Young last week, and he talked about like in high school, he never lost a hole, I think. And so, PJ, why don't you lead us out here?
Yeah, we were just wondering, speaking of being back home, like, do you have a story from when you were younger when you realized that you were kind of different and had maybe more talent than your peers and could actually do this professionally someday?
I never felt like I was super talented as a kid. I was like, when I was 13 or 14, I was able to get on kind of our national team, barely scraped by there, but I was never the guy that was like, oh yeah, he's the next big thing. And when I got a little bit older, like 15, 16, it was me, actually a good group of guys. It was me, Christopher Ventura, who's also out here, Christopher Wrighton. He just won on the European Tour and then finished second the next week. He might be out here next year. And then Christian Johannesson, who's been on and off on the European Tour and Challenge Tour. So us four, we traveled a bunch to Spain and had camps with the national team and practiced and competed a lot. And I just felt like my technique wasn't as good. I had a very idiosyncratic swing and I didn't hit it quite as good. I wasn't a great putter. I didn't chip as well, but somehow I kind of willed my way around. It's just like I didn't feel as good as those guys, but somehow I was able to be there and compete against those guys. And every single year, I just kept getting a little bit better. I think if I do have a talent, that is what my talent is, to figure out how to get better and solving problems and just continue to progress.
Super interesting.
All right. And then last question, we asked this to everybody. We got to know, what's your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit? I don't really have one, to be honest. I mean, every day on the golf course, I have a banana for a round. Shay gives me a banana after 3 or 4 holes every time around. So we'll just go with a banana. Monkey never cracked.
Good answer. Good answer.
Love it. Thank you so much, Victor. Appreciate the time.
Yeah,
obviously, best of luck at the Travelers this week and this summer.
Thank you. Appreciate it, boys.
All right. Thank you.